Once hailed as one of country music's purest voices, Vince Gill captured hearts with his soulful lyrics and timeless performances. But behind the warm smile and heartfelt songs lies a story filled with pain, loss, and quiet heartbreak. His journey, marked by both extraordinary success and unimaginable sorrow, reveals a side of fame few ever see. This is the deeply emotional and tragic story of Vince Gill, a man whose beautiful music was born from a lifetime of sadness. Vince Gill has 21 Grammys, more than any other male country musician. Every year in the 1990s, he won a trophy. His life inspired me, but his death killed me. I've won instrumental Grammys. I wrote several tunes, some for my singing, some for duos. I won a Grammy for producing my wife's record. We all know a country musician with a beautiful voice and a generous heart who has won more than 20 Grammys and had over 100 chart-topping hits. The Grammy goes to Vince Gill. Hidden behind these huge triumphs is a story of suffering and grief. The Eagles' lead singer, who started as a small guitar player, lost loved ones, over $5 million, and his health. Join us as we uncover Vince Gill's life secrets, forcing him to reveal his heart scars. Early life in Norman, Oklahoma, a small, tranquil town, music flowed like a river. Here began Vince Gill's journey. Vince, the youngest of 4 children, was born on April 12, 1957, to parents who would unintentionally mold his future. His lawyer father loved music. And your dad? He was complicated. We struggled. It was a traditional father-son relationship, and he was severe, hard, and all the things I didn't like. He played guitar every night and taught Vince about music. Vince's musical passion began with these father-son experiences. Vince's mother also fostered his enthusiasm. She wasn't only a caring mother, she was a gifted musician. She sang and played the harmonica at home. The whole family played music in their home, from oldest to youngest. They gathered around the radio, letting the outer world into their hearts. Music wasn't the only family bonder. Vince's parents also loved golf, which helped them bond. However, Vince's life revolved around music. His grandma introduced him to guitar at age 5. How Great Thou Art, played on the piano by my grandmother Granny, was my first hymn. She played piano well. I suppose it's my earliest music recollection. Vince would sit with her and pluck her old guitar. A young boy's modest guitar opened a world of possibilities. Vince's destiny began with her guitar playing. When Vince turned 8, something remarkable happened. Vince and his brother Bob listened to Long Tall Texan, a Beach Boys classic, on the radio. They played the music from that time since it stuck with them. They picked up their instruments and played along, inspired by the radio waves that brought the world into their home. A lifelong brotherhood was forged through music in a magnificent occasion. Vince grew into a guitar fan. He met Julian Ocken, a lifelong influence, at 11. Julian was a talented guitarist who saw Vince's potential. Vince studied everything he could under his instruction to improve his talents. I called him and said, "Man, I'm sorry, but I'm turning this down. I admire your work, but if I don't believe in myself, I can't encourage others to." This went beyond teachings. Transformation occurred. Vince went beyond instrument learning, becoming a musician. Vince continued his musical career. His interest for guitar deepened as he played throughout school. Everyone saw his dedication, yet anxiousness was a challenge. For his first school performance, Vince was nervous like any young performer. In the spotlight, he stood up with his guitar and played his heart out. Vince performed effectively despite nerves, surprised himself and the audience. This was when he understood music was his calling despite the fear. But even with his talent, success was hard. Vince struggled to become famous. He experienced obstacles like many aspiring musicians. He worked hard to establish himself in the broad, competitive music industry. Every note he played and song he wrote brought him closer to the seemingly unattainable ambition. The Norman, Oklahoma child was on the verge of something amazing, but no one knew. A musical legend was going to emerge from his story. A big donation from a country music superstar let a small-town band play again. Music carrier start. Vince Gill fought his way into music. Passionate conflict and unrelenting drive. He joined Mountain Smoke Bluegrass Band to take the plunge. Vince developed his skills among other musicians here. His music passion grew. He knew each note he played brought him closer to his destiny. Vince, a young man hungry to conquer the music industry, wouldn't be stopped. His talent and ambition gave him the strength to keep going. Playing at local gatherings introduced him to the music community. Vince gained fame gradually. Every performance helped him progress, but it wasn't easy. Not all shows went as planned. Things went wrong one night during a concert. Vince lost his calm quickly when the audience threw things at the band. He left without a word, flipping off the spectators. A brave step, but it showed everyone something vital. Vince Gill won't tolerate disrespect. Whatever the situation, he stood firm. Fortune soon smiled on Vince. He received an amazing opportunity in 1978. He became Pure Prairie League's lead singer. Vince's breakthrough. He played in Mountain Smoke when I first met him. "Do you want to join the band?" I repeated, and he said yes. Over the years, Pure Prairie League has launched many creative and successful people. The band was defined by his powerful, silky vocals. Pure Prairie League had many hits under Vince, but one stood out. "Tonight I Love You." Fans worldwide fell in love with the song. Vince seems to have settled. Like many things in life, success doesn't stay forever. Vince was heartbroken when the band broke up. Some members wanted to try rock, pop, or country music. Success and aspirations were too much for the band. Each member had different dreams, therefore they split up. Vince was alone after the band left. His career was changing, and while he had succeeded, the future was uncertain. He chose solitude. Vince knew jumping was perilous. Soloing means no protection. Vince wrote and played songs despite the risks. Not knowing what was next, he was resolved to be ready. He struggled to launch his own career. Vince struggled, setbacks, and at times felt like everything would fall apart like many musicians. Though difficult, these circumstances shaped Vince's future. They gave him resilience and strength to overcome future problems. He found his voice as a solo artist slowly, and the world noticed. Vince Gill flourished in the 1990s. He was ultimately known for his distinct voice. He gained admiration from his colleagues with his lovely, powerful voice in music circles. Music wasn't enough anymore. Vince was building a legacy. His hard work was finally paying off, and the world was seeing it. Vince's efforts were noticed by industry leaders. He received 22 Grammys. Vince Gill, I call you, wins the Grammy. Very much thank you. It's my first time coming to this concert, which I've watched for 33 years. Each prize showed his expertise, passion, and impact on music. Each Grammy Award, one of the most distinguished awards an artist can receive, reminded Vince of his progress. Win 22 was no easy accomplishment. It took years of hard labor, sacrifice, and talent. Vince received more than trophies. They depicted his amazing journey. They symbolized his hardships, breakthroughs, and long hours of craft perfection. It takes more than talent to win a Grammy. For Vince, peer recognition meant everything. He was honored for more than his songs and appearances, due to his music's capacity to connect. His voice conveyed emotions and told relatable stories. Vince was more than a successful artist. He symbolized dedication and perseverance. Vince Gill proved his worth despite all the ups and downs, doubts, and struggles. One of the most successful male solo musicians of his period with 22 Grammys was impressive. It wasn't only the awards for Vince. It was about the journey, late-night songwriting, many hours of practice, and his never-fading passion of music. These honors showed his enthusiasm, commitment, and self-confidence, even when the future appeared unachievable. Vince could look back at his life and know that every battle was worth it as he held each Grammy on stage. His every performance, setback, and risk. Everything led him here. The music industry tested him. In the end, Vince proved he could survive and thrive. His world-class status was earned. Vince Gill got a surprise call. It came from Eagles manager Irving Azoff. Eaglemania, the best Eagles tribute band, performs. Many compare their concert to the 1970s Eagles. Vince was shocked. Both exhilaration and nervousness were overwhelming. He was offered the lead singer position in the Eagles, one of rock's most famous bands. But one major obstacle remained. Vince was replacing the band's original member Glenn Frey, a rock music legend. Vinny was anxious. How could he replace Glenn Frey, a legend? The Eagles' sound relied on Glenn's voice, so taking over seemed like a great duty. Vince questioned whether fans would like him or compare him to the late rock star. After Vince joined the Eagles, something incredible happened. He knew he couldn't replace Glenn Frey. He gave the band his personality, voice, and flair. As he performed, he realized he didn't need to be Glenn. He could honor Glenn's legacy while remaining an artist. Vince found clarity and used the chance to present the world his distinct musical style. Filling shoes wasn't it. Finding his place in the Eagles' personal life was the goal. Vince Gill's life is full of extremes, victories, and heartbreaks, not just honors and hits. Many observed his climb to fame, but few knew his inner hardships. The death of his brother Bob was devastating. Bob was more than Vince's sibling. He had innumerable memories with his best buddy and musical companion. They traveled, played music, and formed an unshakable relationship. Everything changed one night when Bob died on a friend outing. One of your hardest occasions was when your brother was critically hurt in a vehicle accident. Vince expressed his grief in an interview, stating Bob was the first to teach him what music meant. It felt like he lost part of himself forever. Vince's only solace after his brother's death was music. His song "Go Rest on That High Mountain" was written at this sad time. This was no ordinary tune. It conveyed Vince's anguish and paid honor to his brother beyond poetry and music. It was an honest portrayal of his spirit, and a means to cope with losing his best friend. While Vince grieved, life would throw him more challenges. Vince struggled financially despite his brilliant profession. He invested for his future, but it didn't work out. Vince invested $500,000 in Blue Sky Tech in 2021 to make money. His money gone without a trace. His financial problems continued. He invested $700,000 on green energy. However, he lost $400,000. His financial problems continued. Vince dropped $300,000 after investing $600,000 in cryptocurrencies to turn things around. The worst blow was Vince's $1 million investment in Sin World Entertainment, looking for a substantial return. This time, the loss hurt more. Vince lost $900,000. He felt the strain of these financial losses. Vince constantly recounted his crisis struggles. Pressure from these failures and grief from losing his sibling was tremendous. He struggled with tension, anguish, and despair. Just when Vince thought things couldn't get worse, July 2022 brought another terrible moment. His wife Amy was severely injured in a biking accident. Vince watched her suffer in misery. Vince Gill's gifted wife, Amy Grant, was hospitalized after falling off her bike with a friend. He could barely tolerate seeing someone he loved suffer. Amy's fortitude was remarkable. She stood strong despite the agony, inspiring Vince in ways he never anticipated. Still, watching her fight was painful. Vince often mentioned it was one of his roughest experiences. Vince never lost faith in life. He knew he had to keep going even though the world seemed to want to stop him. As he was regaining his footing, another obstacle appeared. This time, his health. Vince had serious voice cord difficulties in 2016. Vocal strain and years of singing caused vocal cord inflammation and damage. A man whose voice was his career was devastated. Vince had surgery to fix the damage, but his rehabilitation was lengthy. He had to rest and undergo extensive therapy after surgery. Vince struggled with physical pain and the emotional toll of not performing. His recovery was difficult. His family's love and support helped him through this trying moment. The resilience of his loved ones helped him recover and motivated him to keep going when it seemed impossible. Vince knew he wasn't alone in his fight, and his family's unflinching support saved him in the darkest times. It was hard, but he steadily recovered physically and mentally. Vince Gill persevered through bereavement, financial hardships, heartbreak, and health issues. Life had thrown him many challenges, but he always rose above them. He persevered when everything seemed hopeless. He tackled every obstacle knowing he could conquer them, leave a legacy, and impact. Vince Gill has had many hits, but Go Rest on That High Mountain is his best. After his brother Bob's death, Vince wrote this song, which is unique. It is a moving homage to loved ones lost. The song's raw honesty makes it one of Vince's most personal and poignant. Anyone who has experienced loss and grief will relate. Vince's soul is expressed in this song. Vince's legacy transcends his country music genius. With 20 Grammys and over 100 hits, he is one of country music's greatest vocalists. His famous voice is praised for its emotional impact. Vince's vocal style combines history and passion to win hearts with every note. His honesty has made him popular in country music and among fans worldwide. Vince's impact goes beyond music. He inspired many artists after him. Vince's success and artistry have showed young musicians the power of staying true to their roots while pushing limits. He has inspired the next generation of country music singers while remaining true to the genre. Vince Gill left a tradition of giving back as well as music. Despite his fame in music, he has helped others. Vince is dedicated to philanthropy and using his platform for good. He inspires through his acts as much as his voice due to his compassion and heart. Vince Gill left a legacy of ageless music, genuine emotion, and compassion. His songs still move audiences. He influences emerging artists, and his humanitarian activity only adds to his reputation. Vince's narrative is one, but Keith's musical bond with him is profound. Keith's lost journey continued. In addition to losing his father, he has endured life-threatening situations like a paparazzi incident. Being in the public glare has risks, and Keith nearly crashed his motorcycle in 2007. He realized how fragile life is and became more conscious of his loved ones. Keith's losses have affected his music and deepened his view of life and what matters. Keith has used music to heal and honor his father despite his hardships. A near-death experience. Keith Urban has faced numerous challenges, but one stands out. Keith was riding his motorcycle to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting in Sydney in 2007 when a paparazzi photographer followed him on another bike. A simple pursuit became dangerous. The photographer trailed Keith across traffic, making the situation worse. Keith had to react quickly to dodge a car. He lost control and crashed his motorcycle into the road. Keith somehow survived the crash. The situation could have been worse and showed how fast life can change. It also demonstrated how invasive and hazardous paparazzi can be while seeking a photo. This event was made more shocking by the photographer's reaction. The paparazzi member assisted Keith off the road and checked on him instead of shooting shots. Keith later recalled that the photographer didn't take any shots despite the terrifying chase and disaster. Instead, he cared for Keith. Keith was amazed that generosity could be found in such a frightening and unsettling circumstance. This death experience taught Keith about life's fragility and the surprising ways people can exhibit kindness. This moment shaped his views on fame, safety, and relationships. Career highlights. Keith Urban's rise to fame was remarkable. Despite many challenges, his career has been amazing. In 1990, he published his debut Australian record, starting his music career. Keith traveled to Nashville in the mid-1990s to break into country music. After saving money, an Australian bush boy packs his guitar and heads to Nashville to break into America's big country music business. Sounds unlikely? Not for Keith Urban. Keith's debut American album was published in 1999, his big break. This album had hits like You're Everything and But for the Grace of God. His first #1 single on the U.S. country charts solidified his rise in country music. After that, Keith's career took off. His country, pop, and rock elements set him apart. He won several honors and produced hit after hit. He also gained global fans from his achievements. Keith Urban achieved success that many artists only dream of via hard work, commitment, and a love of music. Keith Urban's career took off in 2001 when he received the Academy of Country Music Awards Top New Male Vocalist Award and the Country Music Association's Horizon Award. These awards helped him become a country music celebrity. Keith released the popular song Somebody Like You on his 2002 album *Golden Road*. This single topped the charts for 6 weeks. Keith kept making hits over the years. In 2005 and 2007, he won Grammys for Best Male Country Vocal Performance for You'll Think of Me and Stupid Boy. In 2012, he was inducted into the Grand Ole Opry, a major achievement for country artists. That year, Keith played guitar on Tim McGraw's Smash Highway Don't Care, which featured Taylor Swift. This cooperation showcased Keith's musical and performing skills. Keith has grown in his music, humanitarian activities, and ability to connect with fans and create timeless music that inspires. Keith Urban's rise from Australia's poverty to international success has shaped his humanitarianism. His passion for causes has never wavered. He donates heavily to cancer research and patient care, especially after his father died of cancer in 2015. After a long fight with cancer, Keith Urban's father, Robert, died days after revealing he was in hospice care. He took the cause more personally after this loss. Keith has supported St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and Stand Up to Cancer. He has also performed at cancer research and treatment fundraisers. Keith's charity goes further. He also fights domestic violence. Performing at the 2017 Allen for the Gambling Memorial event, collected over $1 million for the Tennessee Disaster Relief Fund and Children's Advocacy Center. The performance honored country music superstar Kenny Rogers and featured many prominent musicians, including Keith performing and contributing. Keith held a drive-in concert for Vanderbilt University Medical Center staff during the COVID-19 outbreak. One of the first drive-in concerts during the pandemic, this event inspired others. Keith stressed the need of lifting spirits during such a difficult period. Keith has supported young music education in addition to charitable performances. He has donated guitars and other equipment to low-income schools, helping kids develop their musical talents. Keith believes giving back is a privilege and a duty.